number 1.
You stop explaining yourself. The first silent behavior is simple. Stop over-explaining yourself. Toxic people often want you to defend every decision you make. Why didn't you answer? Why are you doing this? Why don't you want to come? Why did you say that? Why are you changing? And if you constantly explain yourself, they get more information to argue with. You give them another reason to criticize, another detail to twist, another sentence to use against you. But when you become comfortable saying less, something changes. You don't feel the need to prove every decision. You understand that not everyone deserves a detailed explanation of your life. This doesn't mean becoming rude, it means becoming selective. Instead of giving a 10-minute explanation, you might simply say, "I've decided what's best for me," or "I'm not comfortable with that," and then stop. No argument, no long defense, no desperate attempt to make him understand. A healthy person may respect your decision even if they disagree. A controlling person may become frustrated because they can't find an opening. Your silence tells them, "You don't control my decisions," and that can be extremely uncomfortable for someone who is used to controlling you.
Fact number 2.
You don't react immediately. The second behavior is emotional control. Toxic people often know which buttons to push. They know what makes you angry. They know what makes you insecure. They know what makes you feel guilty. So they push those buttons. But imagine they provoke you. And nothing happens. You pause. You breathe. You think. And only then do you decide whether a response is even necessary. That small pause can completely change the dynamic. Because toxic behavior often depends on emotional reactions. If someone insults you and you immediately explode, they have successfully controlled your emotional state. But if someone insults you and you simply look at them, stay calm, and continue with your day, they lose the reaction they were looking for. Your calmness becomes your boundary. Remember, not every attack deserves a response. Sometimes silence is not weakness. Sometimes silence is emotional discipline. The goal isn't to become emotionless. The goal is to become difficult to manipulate. When you control your reaction, other people have less control over you.
Fact number 3.
You become less available. The third silent behavior is becoming less available to toxic behavior. Notice the difference. You're not necessarily disappearing from everyone's life. You're simply becoming more intentional about your time. You stop answering every message immediately. You stop participating in every argument. You stop attending every unnecessary drama session. You stop allowing someone to interrupt your peace whenever they want. And suddenly, they notice something. Access to you is no longer automatic. This is important because some toxic relationships survive only because one person is constantly available. Available to listen. Available to argue. Available to solve problems. Available to absorb negativity. But when you start protecting your time, the relationship changes. You may respond later. You may leave the conversation. You may choose not to engage. You may simply say, "I can't talk about this right now." That's not punishment. That's a boundary. Your time is valuable. Your attention is valuable. Your emotional energy is valuable. And when you stop giving unlimited access to someone who repeatedly disrespects you, they may realize that their influence over you is disappearing.
Fact number 4.
You stop trying to win every argument. The fourth behavior is one of the hardest. You stop trying to win every argument. Think about how much energy people waste trying to prove they're right. They send long messages. They repeat the same point. They bring up old conversations. They search for evidence. They demand the other person admit they were wrong. But sometimes, winning an argument doesn't actually improve your life. A toxic person may not be looking for truth. They may be looking for control. They want to keep you talking. They want to keep you defending yourself. They want the conversation to continue for hours. So you change the strategy. You stop trying to convince someone who has already decided not to understand you. You might simply say, "We see this differently," and leave it there. That's powerful, because you are no longer fighting for validation from someone who may never give it to you. You don't need everyone to agree with you. You don't need everyone to understand you. And you certainly don't need to attend every argument you're invited to. Sometimes the biggest victory is refusing to participate.
Fact number 5.
You become consistent with your boundaries. The fifth behavior is consistency. A boundary that changes every day is easy to ignore. For example, imagine you tell someone, "Please don't speak to me disrespectfully." But every time they do it, you stay and continue the conversation. Eventually, your words lose their impact. Now imagine something different. They become disrespectful. You calmly end the conversation. No screaming, no dramatic speech. You simply leave. The next time, the same thing happens. You do it again, and again. Eventually, your behavior becomes predictable. They learn, when I cross this boundary, I lose access to the conversation. That's when boundaries become real. You don't need to announce them constantly. You demonstrate them through consistent behavior. Remember this, a boundary is not about controlling another person. It's about controlling what you will do when someone crosses a line. That's a major difference. You cannot force someone to respect you, but you can decide what you will tolerate.
Fact number 6.
You improve your life without announcing it. The sixth behavior is subtle but powerful. You quietly improve your life. You stop announcing every plan. You stop telling everyone what you're going to do. You stop seeking approval for every decision. Instead, you work, you learn, you exercise, you build your career, you improve your finances, you develop better relationships, you become more confident. But you don't need to announce every step. You simply let your actions speak. This can be especially powerful when someone expected you to remain stuck. They may have become comfortable with an old version of you. The version who was always available. The version who needed their approval. The version who doubted themselves. But now you're changing, and you're doing it quietly. You don't need to prove that you've changed. Your life eventually becomes the proof. This is why sometimes the best response to negativity isn't revenge. It's growth. Build a life so focused on your future that you no longer have time to live inside someone else's drama.
Fact number 7.
You become completely comfortable walking away. And now we reach number 7. The most powerful silent behavior is this. You become comfortable walking away. Not every relationship needs to be saved. Not every argument needs to be resolved. Not every person needs another chance. And not every connection deserves permanent access to your life. When you genuinely understand that you can walk away from disrespect, manipulation, and constant negativity, something changes inside you. You stop being afraid of losing people. You stop thinking, what if they get angry? What if they don't like me? What if they talk about me? What if they leave? Instead, you start asking, is this relationship healthy for me? That's a completely different mindset. Walking away doesn't always mean physically leaving forever. Sometimes it means emotionally detaching. Sometimes it means reducing contact. Sometimes it means refusing to participate in the same old patterns. And sometimes, yes, it means ending the relationship. The important part is that your peace is no longer dependent on another person's approval. That's when manipulation becomes much harder. Because a person who isn't afraid to walk away cannot easily be controlled by threats of rejection, guilt, or drama. Your greatest power may not be making a toxic person fear you. It may be reaching the point where you no longer need their approval at all.
So let's quickly remember the 7 silent behaviors. Number 1, stop over-explaining yourself. Number 2, don't react immediately. Number 3, protect your availability and your time. Number 4, stop trying to win every argument. Number 5, be consistent with your boundaries. Number 6, quietly improve your life. And number 7, become comfortable walking away. Remember, the goal isn't to make toxic people afraid of you. The real goal is to become so emotionally grounded that their behavior no longer controls your peace. You don't need revenge. You don't need to expose everyone. You don't need to prove your worth. Sometimes, the strongest message you can send is simply changing how you respond.